Alright, I'm going to show you how I do tatting, which is a little bit different than how you'll see most videos on the internet work, but the motion is pretty much the same. It just looks a little bit different because most people do it higher up and I do it lower down. So I'm going to show you the way that I do it, which is the way that I will be teaching you. So first we have two strings here that are knotted together. So this is my shuttle string. This is the ball thread, which could be attached to another shuttle, but in this case it is not. And they're in different colors just to make it easier to see. So we're going to start by making a chain, and with a chain you wrap it behind your right hand so that it is in a straight line rather than in a loop. So once you've done that, you're ready to make your first stitch. So there are two halves to a stitch. For the first half, you put the thread down the back of your left hand to the right of your ball thread. For the second half of the stitch, you put it to the left of your ball thread in front of your hand. So for the first half, you put it on the back, on the right. On the second half, you put it on the front, on the left. So to start the stitch, you put the thread down the back of your left hand. Make sure you have enough thread. And so now you can see there's a gap between your ball thread and your shuttle thread. So what you want to do is you want to put your shuttle through that gap from the front of your hand going towards the back of your hand so that it loops around. Now you want to pull that thread tight, and as you do, you just relax this hand a little bit. So the shuttle thread should end up straight, and you can see now it's the ball thread, the one wrapped around your hand, that's the one looped. This is called flipping the stitch. So now all you have to do is you carefully move your hand. You can use this hand to pull it along. You can use this hand, whatever is convenient for you, to slide that all the way up to the start. So once you're done that, you can do the second half of the stitch, which is done exactly the same way, except that you put the thread on the front of your hand on the left of the ball thread. So here also there is a gap between these two, and you are going to take your shuttle, and this time you're going from the back to the front, pulling it through. Now you're relaxing your hand again to give that thread a chance to get loose. You pull your shuttle thread tight so that now you can see that it is the ball thread looped around, and you slide that up to join the first half of the stitch that you made. So I'll show you that again. So you put your thread down the back of your left hand, nice and loose. The ball thread should be tighter and the shuttle thread should be looser. Now you put it through the gap. Pull your shuttle thread tight while you let your ball thread go loose. Slide it up. Now you put it on the front of your hand, the left side of the ball thread. Bring the shuttle around the back and up through the loop. Now you relax your shuttle thread, or your ball thread. You tighten your shuttle thread so that you have your ball thread wrapped around your shuttle thread, and you slide it over to join the other one. So that's how you make your stitches, and that's how you build a chain. Now if you were going to make a picot in here, picot is just a space between two stitches. So you would make like you were making your first stitch, and then as you bring it up, you just want to leave a little space like that between the two. Now you just pinch that to hold on to it so that it doesn't close up on you. You make the second half of the stitch. My thread's getting kind of short here. Pull that. You bring that carefully up to the first half that you made, and you see there's still a gap there between those two stitches. And now when you push them together, you will get a little loop. And that is called a picot. And that is what you use for joining and for decoration. So that's how you make a chain. That's how you make a picot. Now I'll show you how you make a ring. So a ring is done the same way as you would make a chain. All the stitches are the same, but instead of wrapping around your hand like this in a straight line, the way you do for a chain, you bring it all the way around to make a closed ring. So now when you make your first stitch, need a little more slack here, and you bring it up, it closes into a loop. Fell off my hand. There you go. And so what I always do is I like to give the first stitch a little pull in one direction or another to make sure that it slides. If it doesn't slide, it means that your stitch didn't flip properly and you will not be able to close the ring. So make sure that your first stitch slides, and then you're okay to keep making your ring. And that is how you make a ring. Then when you're done, you take your fingers out and you pull to close up the ring. So we'll do that in just a moment. I just want to show how you make a join. So we have this picot that we made on our chain before. I'll just show you how you make a join with that. So you take your picot and you slide it over top of where you want to make the join. So it's sitting right on top of this thread in the ring here, which is where I want to make my next stitch. So now I take the pointy part of my shuttle, I go down through the picot, catch that thread, pull it up, and now I just push the shuttle through the gap and pull back and tighten that up as if it were the first half of a stitch. And now I'm going to make the second half of the stitch, and then we have the two joined together. So that is the most common way to do a join. There are other ways of doing joins, and some people like to have that join not be the first half of a stitch. They will follow it up with the first half of a stitch just to make it a little bit more symmetrical, I guess. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, as long as you are consistent throughout your project. Alright, now I've got enough stitches to make a decent ring. So I'm going to close the ring by taking the loop off of my hand, so you can see it here. And I'm just going to take my shuttle thread that connects it to my hand, and I'm going to grab it and pull. Sometimes you have to pull fairly hard, usually not too bad. And you can see the ring is now much, much smaller. So you just keep pulling until there is no extra string here. And so now here is my closed loop. Closed ring, rather. And so now I could continue with another ring or a chain, whatever you needed to do to build your project. And that is it. So if you know how to make a stitch, make a chain, make a ring, make a picot, and make a join, you can make almost any tatting project that there is. All right, practice, have fun, and I will see you next week.